Imagine the world is ending in two different ways. By day, the sun is so hot it burns people alive, forcing all of humanity indoors. But by night, something else comes out. Strange entities that look human, sound human, but are something else entirely. And they're trying to get inside. Tonight, we are exploring the terrifying paranoid world of the updated demo for No, I'm Not a Human. We play as an antisocial introvert, a man who prefers solitude, living in a remote farmhouse far from the crowds. But in this new world, being alone is a death sentence. A strange curse, or maybe a rule, prevents the nightly visitors from harming you if you have guests over. If you are alone, they invite themselves in, and you disappear. Hi everyone, I'm Not Whelm, and this is a deep dive into one of the most clever new horror games out there. We're going to break down the story, the different visitors, the chilling lore revealed on the radio, and the terrifying final tease for the full game. So lock your doors and let's begin. So how do you survive the night? By vetting the desperate strangers who knock on your door hoping for shelter. The problem is, the authorities and the news only give you vague, almost useless clues to tell who's human and who's a visitor. The very first sign they announce is unrealistic white teeth, a sign so ridiculous it immediately creates chaos. Think of all the innocent people with either veneers or good genetics. This flawed system is put to the test right away. Your kind, worried neighbor is obviously human, but then a very tall, intimidating man shows up, admitting he was kicked out of a bar for having a short temper. He seems like a prime suspect, but if you let him in, you learn he's actually a good person, who was kicked out for trying to stop people from panicking and turning on each other. In contrast, a frail hunchback old lady appears, homeless and desperate. She seems harmless, but if you let her in, her stories just don't add up, and she is eventually revealed to be a deadly visitor. This who to trust paranoia is the core of the game, and it only gets worse. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, keeps releasing more official signs of a visitor. First, it's dirt under the fingernails, as if no one works in a garden or on a car. Then it's blood red eyes, as if no one could have an eye infection or just lack of sleep. The final sign from the demo is, I kid you not, hairless armpits. These signs are just so vague and absurd. They feel designed to make people turn on each other, just as a tall man warned. While we're dealing with the paranoia inside, the radio and TV paint a horrifying picture of the world falling apart outside. We hear a radio caller report that people are literally burning alive from just a few moments of sun exposure. We hear about how crime rates are soaring with looters and criminals taking advantage of the chaos. And we learn about scammers selling fake cures for the supposed contagious disease of becoming a visitor, preying on people's fear. The outside world is a death trap. This is driven home when the protagonist sees teenagers who were hanging out in the fields last night have been brutally killed. And later, in one of the most shocking moments, he sees his kind neighbor's house engulfed in flames. Amidst all this chaos, we learn about one visitor that is more terrifying than the rest. A tall, skinny, pale man who roams the farmlands at night. We first see him simply standing in the distance, watching the house. A deeply unsettling sight that forces the protagonist to draw the blinds. The news reports that this entity specifically targets people who live alone. Towards the end of the demo, he finally comes to our door. His appearance is horrifying up close. He's topless, his skin seems too tight on his body, and he smiles in a completely unnatural way, his jaw dropping and skin stretching beyond human limits, his eyes rolling into the back of his skull. It's speculated he's literally wearing a victim's skin. He speaks in a bizarre manner and asks one simple question: are you alone? If you say yes, it's game over. He forces his way in and you disappear without a trace. This is the ultimate test of the game's core rule. Your survival depends on the very thing our protagonist hates. having other people in his house. The demo's story accumulates in a series of tragedies. The neighbor's daughter runs to our house crying hysterically that strange men killed her father and burned their house down. FEMA agents arrive not to help but to take away someone for testing, leaving us with fewer guests and more vulnerable. The protagonist, who always wanted to be alone, is now truly alone, his only friend and neighbor gone. He's left with a house full of strangers he can't trust in a world that wants him dead. And then the demo leaves us with one final cryptic tease for the full game. A hatch door appears in the middle of the house. As we watch, a single hand emerges from the darkness below. And that's where the story, for now, ends. This demo sets up a fascinating and terrifying world filled with unanswered questions. Let's break down the biggest theories based on the clues that we've gathered. This isn't just one apocalypse, it's two working in perfect sync. The sun's intense heat makes the daytime unsufferable, forcing humanity into isolated homes. Then, at night, the visitor emerges from the ground to hunt. You can't go out during the day, and you can't be alone at night. This creates a perfect scenario of forced proximity and paranoia. The question is this a coincidence, or is the solar activity somehow linked to the appearances of the visitors, creating a planetary scale trap? The visitors aren't just mindless monsters, they operate on a specific set of supernatural rules. The most important one is that they prey on the lonely. The thin, pale man literally has to ask if you're alone before he can attack. This feels like a classic vampiric or folkloric curse. Why do they need this condition? Does being with another person create some kind of protective humanity field? And what about the mysterious traveler who mentions needing to let someone in with a cat to get help? Does that imply some creatures or people have a different way to break the rules? Are FEMA agents heroes or villains? On the surface, they're a government agency trying to manage a crisis, but their methods are incredibly suspicious. The signs they release for identifying visitors, white teeth, dirty nails, hairless armpits, are so absurdly vague they seem designed to cause mass paranoia and make people turn on each other. This distrust isolates people, making them easier targets for the visitors. Is FEMA a rogue organization deliberately sowing chaos, perhaps to study the visitors by creating a perfect hunting ground for them? Their abduction of the tall man for testing certainly supports a more sinister motive. This is the biggest mystery of all. With the visitors said to emerge from under the ground, it's very likely this hatch is a direct connection to wherever they're coming from. A nest, a gateway, or a tunnel system. The hand that emerges doesn't look like the other visitors. Is this a new type of creature? Is it their leader? Or is it something else entirely? Something maybe even the visitors are afraid of. No, I'm Not a Human creates an atmosphere of dread and paranoia. It's a story about survival, but it's also about who we choose to trust when the world gives us every reason not to. What are your theories about the hatch and FEMA's true intentions? Let me know everything down in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please make sure to smash that like button, share, and subscribe for more explorations of dark and fascinating indie games like this. Thanks for watching, I'm Not Whelm, and I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe and be sure to answer your door carefully next time.